All right, what's going on, class? This is your professor, Dr. Jace K. Austin, and welcome to week number 2. That is right, week number 2 of 9410, which is your cultural heritage course. Again, and as always, I am your professor, Dr. Jace Austin, and today we're probably going to take about 30 minutes, maybe, to do a bit of a course overview. And that course overview is going to run us through the syllabus and is going to, what else is it going to do? It's going to run us through the modules, what's going to be expected of you, what to expect. I'm going to give you a little bit of philosophy of the course as I am going through and explaining things. And basically, after you watch this video, my hope is that you are able to just understand the course better, what's going on in the course better, so that you're a little more comfortable and you know what's expected of you ahead of time throughout the semester. And hopefully this will allow you to perform better within the course when all is said and done. Now, I do want to say that usually I do these course overviews as a first synced session, but our first synced session isn't until week 3, next week. It'll be Tuesday of next week, which I believe is February the 2nd. Let me just make sure. Yes, February the 2nd. So be ready to have a synced session next week. They are mandatory. But because the synced session isn't even until week 3, I figured I would go ahead and just record a video to do that instead. And you'll have a guest speaker, Dorothy Berry, as your first synced session next week. Pause. All right, now first things first, one thing that I want to do is, I'm a Southerner, I talk slow, I'm from North Carolina, I'm from rural North Carolina, and so I speak slow, and I know that gets on the nerves of Midwestern folks. So I'm going to teach y'all first how to speed a video up, because that is what you're probably going to want to do when you listen to one of my check-in videos, if you choose to listen to it. These are optional, so you won't be required to listen to them, but a lot of my, actually it's kind of like half and half, like half of my students listen to them and watch them at least a little bit and say that they add something to the course, and half of my students don't bother with them. And I guess it doesn't really matter which side of the road you fall under as long as you do well in the course. But this is something that I like doing because I think that it gives students the opportunity to, again, facilitate a dialogue, an ongoing discussion with the instructor, and it just brings a unique flavor to the class, so that if I'm teaching this class and recording videos, they're going to be nothing like the videos recorded by Dr. Bosler or Dr. Buchanan or Dr. Atkins or whomever else. So that's why I like to do this. And so I'm going to show you how to speed me up because, again, I talk very, very slow. And so you will never really probably want to watch me in real time. So let's do that now. Let's, okay. I was actually looking for an image for one of your guest speakers, Steph Benjamin, but we will put that on hold and go to YouTube. So I'm going to show you how to speed one of these up. So let's say that you saw this, I guess.
Google Fiber wants to know if your internet works right where you are. What if you went upstairs?
Okay, so let's say I wanted to speed this up. Right now, it is going in its
Being that they
own
create is
real
often
time.
regarded as above every person. It
And
is
what you
always
can do
self-absorbed. But
to speed these up, if you go to this settings icon here, that is where you will see a video speed. So you can click that and hit playback speed. And usually for me, because I talk so slow, you might actually want to speed me up to 1.5. And if you do that, you will still hear everything that I am trying to say. Because again, that's how slow I talk. So let's speed this up.
But in all this, when the egos are tampered with, they become a different entity entirely, showing you another side of them, which in most cases is dangerous. And when this happens, it only means one thing: they've been beaten. So here are 6 signs that show you've won against the narcissist.
Okay, for one thing, don't ever try to win against a narcissist. If you're dating a narcissist, as I have at one point done, just go ahead and cut them off once you realize the type of person you're dealing with. Don't stay in a narcissistic relationship. But so I hope that you saw that after I...
But before that, Please help us by clicking that like
Now
button
this is
below.
going a lot
And if you're new to this
faster.
channel, don't forget to subscribe so you
And
won't miss out on any
they
interesting
can be
updates in
slowed
the
down
future.
too. So that's how that works. But anyway, so my check-in videos are always uploaded into YouTube, and that is so that the sound, so that the closed captions are generated automatically. That way I don't have to go through the Office of Disabilities to get those closed captions generated, and then my videos are compliant with those who may be hearing impaired. So let's go ahead and take a look at the class. Let's do this. Boom. Okay, so let's go home. So from the home, actually I'll do this in student view so that you all aren't confused about what you're seeing here, because I do see a totally different view. So, okay, this is your cultural heritage course, and we are, again, I'm probably going to spend about 30 minutes total on this, so I'm looking at about 24 more minutes. It may go slightly over, so I apologize if it does. But your cultural heritage course, again, I'm your professor, Dr. Jace Austin. We have synced sessions. As we get in here, this is the first thing I want you all to know. We do have synced sessions on February the 2nd, March the 9th, and April the 6th from 7 to 7:50 p.m. Central Time. So I know if you are on the East Coast, it will be almost 9 o'clock when you get out of class, and I apologize for that, but that is the way the cookie crumbles. Now, for all of these guest speakers, what they intend to do is give a 40 to 50-minute presentation and then have an optional Q&A after the presentation. So I cannot force you all to stay longer than 7:50 p.m. Central Time, but what I can do is I can offer you an optional question and answer point after their presentations, and you are welcome to stay or leave. But I do think that you might find these guest speakers engaging, so you may want to stay and listen to the Q&A. Even if you don't have questions of your own, you might find something that your classmates ask that you still find interesting. So that is how that works. Syllabus is subject to change, but you will get notice if it does change. Now, with the synced sessions, I'm going to come back and talk about something else with that in just a moment, but we'll get back to that. So the next thing that I want you all to know is the class description. Cultural heritage has many definitions, but deals largely with the overarching legacy formed among a culture of people through such things as oral tradition and folklore, artifacts, monuments, architecture, and literature. The seminar in Cultural Heritage course will introduce students to cultural heritage concepts and explore pressing contemporary topics on cultural heritage, such as the importance and value of heritage tourism, why cultural heritage is historically a target for military attacks, and who merits commemoration in the public square. So those are three of the topics that we will be tackling within this course, but there will be many, many, many other topics that we will tackle as well. But these are some of the things that are interesting to people who work in cultural heritage and have LIS, Library and Information Science backgrounds, okay? And especially with Mike Sweeney, when we have our discussion with Mike Sweeney in March, he is going to talk a bit about how he, with the State Historical Society, actually works with libraries in order to do the cultural heritage work that he does. So I say that to say that hopefully by the time you're done with this course, you will see some things that libraries get involved with that go beyond what you're typically taught in library school, because libraries play a very important part in cultural heritage, particularly in small communities, but actually kind of everywhere. But definitely in small communities, libraries definitely have their part and are definitely bridge builders in the cultural heritage efforts. All right, instructor information. So I, again, am Dr. Jace Austin, or you can call me Jace, or you can call me Dr. Austin, or whatever the case may be. I am not picky about that. If you want to email me, I will get back to you usually within 48 hours. The email address is austinj@missouri.edu. Pick a town, name a town, any town you can email me from. My phone number. I am not necessarily in the office that often now because of COVID. So you may want to email me first, but if you want to try to call me, my number is 816-235-1875. That is my office number. I am sorry, but you all will not be getting my cell number unless there is something special that you might need it for. And my office, I am actually not located in Columbia, Missouri. I am located in Kansas City, Missouri. My office is 122 Miller Nichols Library on the campus of the University of Missouri at Kansas City. If you want to schedule an appointment with me, email me and we will schedule. All right. So many things fall under this umbrella of cultural heritage. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to expand or broaden your ideas of cultural heritage a little bit. So most people think specifically about museums and archives, and while these are important, there's a much, much broader picture, and that's what my course is trying to draw out. So cultural heritage does include a lot of things that people may not readily associate with the term, but this course will aim to change that. We will be kind of touching on two student learning outcomes in this course. Now, I recommend as you all are putting your e-portfolios together or saving files for your e-portfolio, I actually recommend that you get most of your e-portfolio work from your required classes, especially like reference, collection development, management, and those types of classes. However, I do have two things that can kind of fit under the umbrella of student learning outcomes, specifically the visited to a heritage site and reflection paper is corresponding with student learning outcome 1. Graduates will apply the core principles, ethics, and values and body of knowledge to questions in library and information science according to their specialty. Also, the four heritages paper that we will talk about. We are going to go over 30 minutes. I apologize. This will probably be about 40 minutes. But again, speed me up and you can watch it. You can probably watch it in increments if you need to. Student learning outcome 4. Graduates will be able to assess community needs, formulate plans to respond to users of information agencies, and instruct users in using informational resources. So the 4 cultural heritages paper can kind of touch on the assessment of community needs, but that's kind of a reach. So again, I recommend that you, for your e-portfolio, for your student learning outcomes, that you retain some of the assignments that you had in your required classes, okay? Technical issues, if you have them, call the help desk at 882-5000 or tech support at missouri.edu if you wish to email them. I actually don't think I'm using anything in the e-reserves this semester. I've actually also removed the textbook. So this is, for those of you, I do want to explain this as well. I built this course from scratch, and we had the first semester of the course the first iteration of the course last spring 2020. That's when I first taught this course. I built this course from scratch for CISLT. And yes, so there are some things that have changed with the course from spring 2020 to spring 2021. This is my second time teaching the course. And one of the things that's been changed is that I have removed some of the e-reserves. We don't need them. And then I've also actually removed the textbook. The textbook just got terrible reviews from my students the last time I taught this course. And so I figure we don't really need it. We can probably get by with the supplemental readings that I am assigning through such things as on the internet or through our library. Okay. Class etiquette. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. You all know that sometimes things that can be intended as sarcasm and humor can be misconstrued in online environments, and that goes very, very, especially for me even. I am someone who likes to try to be funny, but I just ultimately am not funny at all. And so a lot of times I try to make jokes and have a lot of fun within a class, and my efforts just fall flat. And I hate that that happens, but it happens to me all the time. So just know if I would... I don't know. I would like for you all to try to, if you get offended by something, to maybe try to handle it If you are offended by something I say, you can always just email me and we can speak. If you are offended by what a classmate says, the nature of the offense, if it's something that you think you can handle without making things worse, by all means do so. If it's something that you need to bring me into, then make me aware of that. If I need to bring Title IX into the discussion, then I will notify the Title IX office as necessary. Having said that, one thing that you are forbidden from doing is, we are all in agreement right now by taking this course that you do not screenshot and share what your classmates say on social media to try to dox them or expose them or whatever if you don't agree with something they said. Now, things go a little differently for me because I am the instructor, but no student will be allowed to screenshot and share something that you say in this course, and I am expecting you not to do the same to your classmates. Thank you ahead of time. Okay, so Zoom, we will have 3 synced sessions, and those synced sessions will be meeting via a Zoom. The first one, again, will be not March. The first one will be February the 2nd, which is next Tuesday, Tuesday of next week. And if you need, what I'll be doing is I'm going to be uploading the Zoom links into the course, actually probably on Sunday or Monday before a synced session. Okay, because I've had Zoom links disappear on me before, and I'm trying to avoid that from happening. So that is something to be mindful of as well. If you have any questions about Zoom, please email me and ask. We don't have a textbook anymore, so that saves you some money. All of your readings are going to be readings that are freely accessible either in the library or freely accessible online in open access. You can get a total of 90 points in this class. Any grade from 82 to 90 total points will be an A. 74 to 81, a B. 66 to 73, a C. If you get a 65 or below, you will get an F and fail the class. We do not award these to grad students. Now, when it comes to the sync sessions, here's what's going down. You will be ineligible for getting a plus or a minus. So I reserve the right to award pluses and minuses in any letter grade range except for F, based on how I perceive. So if you earned an A but had exceptional effort, I'm gonna bump that up to an A plus. If you earned an A that had less than exceptional effort, but you still somehow managed to get an A, I may drop you down to an A minus. So I want you all to be aware of that. However, you will be, with these 3 synced sessions, if you miss one, then the highest you will be able to get is the plain letter. In other words, if you make all 3 synced sessions and you earn an A, you can potentially get an A plus. However, if you miss one of the synced sessions, an A is as high as you will be able to get. If you miss 2 of them, then an A minus will be the highest you can get. And if you miss all 3 synced sessions, yes, I will be just dropping your letter grade by 1. So if you earned a B and then you missed a synced session, you will end up with a C in the class. Late work policy, I have this in the syllabus in order to protect myself. However, I am not as religiously dedicated to this as you might think. Late work will automatically be lowered by 25%. Assignments more than 3 days late will not be accepted. With me, again, that is just to protect myself, but I'm not necessarily going to be religious on that. So if you turn in something a day late, but you tell me something like, it doesn't even have to be an immediate family member. If a cousin died, or if a friend died, or if your cat died, as far as I'm concerned, pets are family. Hell, I would be more upset if my dog died than some people. So just to keep it real, I know that's a horrible thing to say, but I keep it real. So having said that, if you have something like that go down on the due date or the day before, just email me and say, Dr. Jace, hey, you know, my cat died, my gerbil died, my friend died, someone you know and love got locked up. That's fine. Let me know. That is also something that I may be willing to extend without penalty for. If you have a breakup even, I know how that feels totally. So if you have a breakup with a significant other and that happens on the day before the assignment is due, just say, hey, Dr. Jace, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my husband, my wife left me and it's just left me in a pickle. Can I have another day or two? I'm gonna say yes. So, I'm very human. A lot of people just seem to think that I'm just this I've noticed that I don't have this East Coast nice, I mean, not East Coast nice, this Midwest nice thing going on. And so my teaching evaluations reflect that. People find me to be aggressive or abrasive or defensive. All of these words have been hurled at me. I actually think there's some racial bias in some of that, but I digress, and I'm just going to say, listen, I am not as scary as a lot of my students seem to think. Back when I was in the South, everyone wanted to just strike up random conversations with me. Older white ladies were asking me to get stuff off the high shelves in the supermarket for them all the time. I never had this, oh my God, he's so scary, until I got to the Midwest. I don't know what that's all about, but please don't be scared of me just because I'm Black or just because I'm quote unquote abrasive because I'm from the East Coast. You're going to meet some people within this field who make me look like Mr. Rogers, and it's best that you get comfortable just dealing with people who are not like you. That's what diversity, equity, and inclusion is all about. So I'm going to put that there, and now let's move on to the next thing, which is a little bit of a calendar for assignments. So things that are going to be graded. We have a syllabus quiz, and that will be due February the 1st. You should actually be fine to do that after watching this video if you have not already done it. There will be a midterm quiz worth 4 points. It's actually only 4 questions long, and that will be due on March the 27th. So that midterm quiz is not hard, but it is just something that I ask for very general questions just to make sure that you have been reading and following along. All right. Attending synced sessions. Dorothy Berry's synced session, which is, again, next week, February 2nd. That one is actually going to be 4 points. The Mike Sweeney synced session on March 9th is going to be worth 3 points. And the Stephanie Benjamin synced session on April the 6th will also be worth 3 points. I want you all at all 3 synced sessions. These are very good speakers that I have, and they are going to be sharing some great knowledge, and I really want y'all to attend. So there are penalties for not attending, and these instruction dates showed up in my Zeus. There are no excuses for not showing up. Okay, so those will be a total of 10 points. Now, a mini interview with a cultural heritage worker. I made that due April 18th. If you want to go ahead and knock that out early, it's actually quite an easy assignment. I'll talk a bit more about it in a few minutes. But that's something that the reason you're going to do the mini interview with the cultural heritage worker is because the point of that assignment is I want you all to be able to look at the mini interviews that everyone else has done. And that way you can get a feel for what type of jobs might be out there in cultural heritage and what you might have to do in order to land one of those jobs. So this is vocational guidance, basically, okay? So that's the reason this is allowing you all to learn from one another, not just learn from me. So if you want to get those in early, they'll be visible to all of your students, all of your classmates. Those mini interviews will be, so it'll be very good for you all to just kind of check those out. Okay. Visit to cultural heritage site write-up and reflection. That'll be worth 10 points and is due on February the 14th. The top 4 cultural heritages paper is worth 15 points and is due on March the 26th. And this final paper, the argument paper, I am actually going to change. So that's not available to you yet. That'll be due on May the 10th, and that'll also be worth 15 points. I made everyone do a Confederate heritage paper last spring, and that's something that I think, well, not that I think, I know that I'm going to have these students do something different this time around, okay? So you will, once I actually come up with a prompt for your final project, I'll let you know. There is also discussion participation. There are 15 weeks to post at minimum for each week. So 2 posts minimum for each week for 15 weeks. That's 30 points total going on throughout the entire semester. Okay, submissions, submit them in the Canvas submission portal. I am not accepting stuff via email. Grading criteria for discussion posts. You can read through this, but I am going to say, again, I'm not going to be too much of a stickler on this. I would prefer that you all get your original post up by Wednesday. However, you will not be penalized. If you do not get it up by Wednesday, you will not be penalized until Monday. So each week starts on Monday. You can get your original post up by Wednesday night optimally, and then get your response up by Sunday night optimally to one of your classmates, at least one of your classmates. You should respond to at least one classmate every single week, okay? So once you do that, hopefully those will be there for you to, what I mean to say is, sorry, I got a little derailed there. What I'm not going to do is, if you don't have your original post up by Wednesday, I'm not going in on Thursday and deducting points. So I know there will be weeks where you won't get your posts up until Friday or Saturday, and that's just how it is, and I understand. As long as your posts are up before I wake up on Monday morning, you will not have points deducted. But if you want some further information on how I will be grading discussion board posts, this is what you will need to look at here. Expectations, I'll probably skip over most of this because it's pretty much the same stuff that you see in all of the courses. Now, I will say I will monitor and facilitate the class. I will answer questions usually actually within 48 hours, not 72 hours. However, if you don't hear from me within 72 hours, you should contact me again. Now, we are going to quickly go through this schedule here, and this way you will know what modules lie ahead of you in this course. So, we have already done the week 1 module, but because the class opened a little late, if you're still reading these things and you still have not put up your week 1 discussion prompt, that's okay. I am actually not going to put in grades for week 1 until this coming weekend. So that's your grace period right there because the class opened up late. So if you have not done your week 1 discussion posts yet, go ahead and do those now. You have not lost points yet, but come probably Sunday or maybe even next Monday, the 1st, you will start to lose points. But you have not lost points for week 1. You can go ahead and do week 1 if you haven't done it yet. Week 1 is to introduce you to some basic cultural heritage concepts, definitions, that sort of thing. And you will also be doing the syllabus quiz with week 1. With week number 2, preservation concerns. So this will introduce you to some of the preservation concerns related to cultural heritage. There are many, and you won't see all of them within this module, but this is an introduction. Students are always encouraged to engage in some independent study to learn a bit more. Okay? And so these are all your assignments here, and those assignments these are all your assigned readings and materials here, and you will also see those within the module section of the class now. Week number 3, we will be taking a closer look at landscape heritage, and that includes, this is a great documentary from the South Carolina Conservation Group. And they're talking about St. Helena Island, which is in the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor. And yeah, this is a very interesting video. The students last year just loved it, and it helped them make sense of landscape and natural heritage, because that landscape/natural heritage is a bit more of a difficult thing to grasp than tangible and intangible heritage. It's a little more difficult to grasp conceptually. We will have optional resources a lot of weeks, and they will say optional. So like in this case, saving places preserving Indiana's architectural heritage. This is a pretty interesting video. I enjoyed it, but I think that the St. Helena Island is a little video is a little better. So that's the one that is the required video. But if you want to, well, if that video is even still up, there we go. Okay, so yeah, this is an hour, but if you wanted to kind of take a look at this, this would give you additional information on the landscape slash natural heritage concept. All right, and that will also be when we have our session with Dorothy Berry. Week 4, we'll be taking a closer look at tangible and material heritage. And so again, these required readings, they will give you a feel for what the, what things can be included in tangible or material heritage. And again, we do have some optional readings here as well. And the heritage place reflection paper will be due that week, so week 4. Week 5, a closer look at intangible heritage. So these readings, again, here are designed to help you with that concept. You will actually need to go to the modules in this in order to get 3 of these readings. Lenzarini, Del Barrio, and McMillan, they will be available in the modules section, okay? And we've got another video, and this is a rather thought-provoking video here, so I hope you all will take the time to actually, I shouldn't even say I hope. This is one of the required materials, so you will need to take the time to check this out. But it's a TED Talk, and it's like
set up in the 90s.
30 minutes, 13 minutes long. It's not very long.
A desire to give people who had been marginalized or people who find life challenging a new aim in life. They describe it as giving people a chisel with which to carve out the future.
And so, yeah, also if you need to speed these up too. Week number 6, music and cultural heritage. This is a new one. I'm going to tell you when there is a new subject matter, because I have again changed the class quite a bit from the first iteration, and part of that changing the class is that in week 6, one of the biggest thing that I got on my student evaluations from the first semester was people saying we really wanted a music cultural heritage module, make music a module of its own. We really, really want that. So I responded to that, and I have done that. Music is a form of intangible heritage. However, it can qualify as tangible heritage if you have sheet music that is in physical form, or if you've got a CD or some vinyl or a cassette tape or something like that. So this module was brought due to the demand of my students in the past. So I hope you like it. It does include some optional readings. And then also I do want to just really quickly go into the discussions because this is going to be a little important. For the discussion on week 6, which is music and cultural heritage, you are going to want to buy yourselves or build in some extra time for yourselves, because you've all been assigned a documentary about music that you are going to have to watch. And they're varying lengths too. So some of these are only 20 minutes long. Some of them are an hour and a half long. And it's kind of just the luck of the draw which you ended up with. So I apologize for that. But I wanted you to be exposed to a documentary on music that may or may not be the type of music that you tend to generally listen to. And all of these documentaries on music have kind of a cultural heritage-y approach to how they're approaching the information. Now, the thing is, a lot of these videos are just free to watch online on YouTube or somewhere else, so they could be gone at any time. If your video for week 6 ends up disappearing, let me know and I will find you another one. Okay? But it'll be very simple to just come in and, for instance, who do we have? So Kelly, for instance, Carolyn, for instance, you will have creative music making. This is me. And if it's not something like Brian has where you can just click and just start watching within.
Was king. And
if it's not something that you can do that, then you can still just click the link into a new window. And so this one is based in St. Louis. So I've got some stuff going on here with Missouri, the state of Missouri. But as you can see, this one is about 30 minutes long, and you can just play it from here if you can't just play it from the Canvas site. Okay. So, and I hope you all will enjoy that, and I hope you all will I hope that you all will enjoy doing this discussion prompt. So I hope you all like documentaries, but most cultural heritage people seem to. All right, let's get back down. Oh man, we're even going to go over 40 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. I hope y'all sped me up. But week 7, Indigenous peoples' concerns with cultural heritage. This includes ownership. And when I talk about Indigenous people, I'm not necessarily talking about Indigenous Americans. But what I'm talking about in this context is people are Indigenous if they were the people who inhabited an area before any sort of colonization from people of a different race. And so we will be talking about Indigenous concerns with cultural heritage, including ownership and representation, through these readings. Week number 8, the hidden heritage of small town and local businesses. I have not, I've changed this quite a bit, but I have not, while I've changed it, I've not scrapped it. But there is less to do in it, including my class in the first semester, they had to watch this entire case study that I recorded about a local music store that was closing in near my hometown. But you're not going to have to watch the full hour and a half. You can watch 45 minutes, and then after that, it's optional. You don't have to watch the whole thing. And then you'll have a couple of other readings there. If you're unable to locate the Feeney article when that time comes in week 8, again, just let me know. And that's also when we will be hearing from Michael Sweeney. Week 9, cemeteries and cultural heritage. So this was one that I thought about scrapping, but I just think it's too essential to the learning process. And there is a lot that there's a lot of neat stuff cultural heritage wise that you can glean from cemeteries that people often just miss the mark in doing. So I would like for you all, so I left that in and would like for you all to hopefully get a lot out of this, because I've also, I think, got some really neat readings within the More Than a Resting Place Cemeteries as Crucial Cultural Heritage Resources module. I think I've got some pretty good reading in that for that week. Week number 10, Undermining Identity, Knowledge, and Culture, Why Invaders and Terror Groups Attack Cultural Heritage. This is a very important module. I kind of wanted to, so here's the thing, I kind of wanted that module to be toward the beginning of the course, and that was actually also recommended by my students last semester. However, at the same time, my students in the first iteration of this course said that the reading was too heavy in weeks 1 and 2, and so if you gave them heavy reading in week 3, then that was just going to overload the students. So that's why in week 3, because in week 3 of the 3 closer look modules, the landscape natural heritage is the easiest one to digest. So I'm giving you a little break after the intense introductory reading that you need to do in weeks 1 and 2. But I also spread this heavy unit, this week 10 unit out, so that you wouldn't have too much heavy stuff front loaded at you. But this can be kind of a touchy subject. Cultural heritage is often threatened by invading militaries and that sort of thing, or destroyed by terrorist groups. And so this will kind of explain why that goes on. There are quite a few optional readings within this module as well. But if you're interested in this subject matter, then those optional readings are definitely going to be, well, interesting. And your 4 Heritages paper is going to be due that week. Week number 11 is when we're going to do the Heritage Tourism module. And actually, I forgot to put it in here, but what will happen in week 11 April 9th is when we have our final sync session. I mean, April 6th. I'm sorry. April 6th is when we have our final sync session. And so for the week 11 module with Heritage Tourism, that is when we are going to have Dr. Stephanie Benjamin from the University of Tennessee. Oh, there it is. She will be coming in on April the 6th at 7 p.m. to talk to you all about Heritage Tourism. But again, this is another kind of what I think is a neat module that hopefully you all will enjoy a lot. Week number 12, so this is a big change to the course. Week number 12 used to actually be 2 modules. Because I'm from the South, I'm from North Carolina, I'm from rural North Carolina. I'm actually from a town where in 2020, 2021, the Ku Klux Klan is still listed in the phone book where I'm from. So that should show you the type of place that I'm from. But having said that, cultural heritage is big. Confederate commemoration is big in the South. And so I had this originally as a 2-week unit, because in the South they would have appreciated Confederate commemoration as a 2-week unit, but it didn't really go over quite the same here in the Midwest. Now, for those of you who don't know, Kansas and Missouri had some of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War. So the Civil War is still relevant to this area, but if you're not from the South, I guess you don't have the same type of passion for it. And by the way, I do not consider Missouri the South. That's a debate that we can have, but I've had so many people from Missouri say, well, Missouri is the South too. No, it's not. Missouri is the Midwest. Country and Southern are not the same thing. Yes, Missouri is country, but Missouri is not Southern. I'm sorry, whoever is offended by that, but it's just what it is. I determine what is South and what is not, and I say Missouri is not the South. But also, for what it's worth, I also think that the Census Bureau does not include Missouri in the South. So, all right. Confederate commemoration, there is a lot of optional reading in this one, because basically I took 2 units and smashed them into 1. So you will see a lot of readings, and I know some of you are probably thinking, whoa, 13 required readings. Just so you know, a lot of these are like newspaper entries or things of that nature, so they don't take a lot of time to read. Like this Hurley High article, this appeared in the USA Today, for instance, and it's very interesting, but at the same time, it's not going to, like, this isn't an academic article that's going to take you an hour or more to finish. This is something that you will have read within 15 minutes of time. But again, this is the type of stuff that blows the minds of some people who don't live in the South, that you actually have a public high school in Virginia, which is a blue state, but a public high school is a blue state now. I used to live in Virginia, and I can tell you it has not always been a blue state, but it's a blue state now. But as you can see, Confederate flags greet you as soon as you open the door of this public high school. There is even a black student from this high school who has a Confederate flag tattooed on his person. And I would advise him never to come to my neighborhood, because he will get his ass beat if he goes to Soul City, North Carolina as a black guy with a Confederate tattoo. It's just not going to end well for him. So, but, you know, there's a lot involved in this, and there are a lot of people who just don't necessarily get it. Okay. So yeah, you have a lot of optional readings there, but don't freak out that 13 required readings, because a lot of these are readings that you will be done with within 15 minutes. And again, with the optional readings, you don't have to read those. And that's when the mini interview with the cultural heritage worker will be due. In combining, because those the Confederate stuff was weeks 12 and 13 in the previous course iteration. Now that has been replaced. A new module is Women in Commemoration and Other Elements of Cultural Heritage. This includes, I have a feminist scholar, Dr. Alexandria Russell, who is a good friend of mine, and we were in PhD programs at the University of South Carolina too.
Indigenous history.
But Dr. Russell, when you watch this video, she will be talking about commemoration of women. She does talk specifically about commemoration of African American women, but she's talking about the commemoration of women nonetheless, because that does play a factor in who we decide to honor in our public square. Is the gender of that person or the gender identity of that person. That plays a part, and it should not. So I wanted to get that interview with Dr. Russell back in for this semester, and I decided that I would go ahead and just make it its own module, Women in Cultural Heritage, because there are some distinct themes that are being considered within this realm. And yeah, and we've got some interesting optional readings there too. But yeah, something needs to change as far as our biases and approaches to how we celebrate and commemorate women. Week number 14, Food as Cultural Heritage. There's a book, and you're going to select chapters within that book about edible identities, food as cultural heritage. Talk a little bit about the cuisine you like, too, and your cultural heritage cuisine. I love pictures. My students last semester, the last time I taught this class in spring 2020, they actually built a bit of a community among themselves. The students did. So if you were able to do that, then yeah, by the time we got to week 14, they were sharing, cultural food item pictures with one another and that sort of thing. And they really, really came together, and that was a good thing for them to come together on. Week 15 is the last module, and you will have a Forgotten Heritage module during that week. And that will include 2 videos as well. Hopefully those videos will both still be up by the time we get to May. All right. And so, as I said, this semester we have 3 new modules. We have no textbooks, so forth and so on. Now, let's go into the announcements really quickly before we go into the assignments. And after the assignments, I'm going to let you go. So, okay, what I said was going to be 30 minutes. It's going to be an hour, and I apologize. But those of you who have had me in courses before know that that is not uncommon for me. Remember just to speed me up so that you can go through this a bit faster. Okay, now, our guest speakers. Again, I want to mention them and who they are. You saw this in an announcement. Next week, we're going to have Dorothy Berry, and Dorothy Berry is very accomplished. She works for Harvard, so she's very accomplished given that she works for Harvard. But she started out here in Missouri, in the Ozarks. That is where her story begins, and she has made it all the way to Harvard from the Ozarks. And so I think that she was just probably going to be a very fascinating person for you all to be able to hear a presentation from. So she's going to do a presentation for us next week. Mike Sweeney is going to do something about the Missouri Bicentennial, which is actually this year. COVID, unfortunately, has interrupted things, but August the 10th, 2021 will mark the 200th anniversary of Missouri's entry into the United States. Again, I'm from North Carolina, so it's weird to me to be thinking about that just because, I don't know, the North Carolina Bicentennial was a lot earlier. I think it was in like 1989 or something, but I was really young when that happened. And then on April the 6th, that's when we will have Steph. I took a class with Steph while we were working on our PhD. She was working on a PhD in tourism. I was working on a PhD in library science, but we ended up taking an ethno-history class together. And so that's how we met each other, and she is a remarkable scholar. So you all are in for a real big treat when it comes to Stephanie Benjamin. All right, so that is our guest speakers, and now we will look at the assignments real quick, and then I will let you go. So for the assignments, you have a syllabus quiz and you have a midterm. I won't go into those, but those will be assignments that you will have to do as well. The visit to a cultural heritage resource write-up and reflection that will be due on February the 14th or Valentine's Day. If you're like Dr. Jason, you can anticipate being alone on Valentine's Day, and so you will be able to finish this this assignment. You do have a rubric here, but basically what you are going to do is visit a cultural heritage place and answer these questions about it. If you have any, we'll answer these questions about it and make a essay style. This is not a Q&A style paper, it's an essay style paper, and I even have a sample paper for you I don't necessarily like doing sample papers, but I just decided to include them this time around so that you will know what is expected of you. So you have a sample paper there. And if you're not sure whether or not something you want to visit counts as a cultural heritage place, email me, austinj@missouri.edu. All right. The 4 heritages is the next one. Yeah, 4 most important cultural heritages of a community. You are going to, again, just identify a community, and then you are going to identify the cultural heritages within said community, or 4 of them, which you feel are the top 4. And I have a crudely put together example. However, we have 2 sample papers. So, you know, between the prompt here and these sample papers, you should be able to figure out exactly what you are going to do. And you've got a rubric here, and this will be worth 15 points. The final assignment, again, has not been finalized or uploaded yet, but I will have that to you hopefully by the middle of February. The last thing that I want to talk about is the mini interview with a cultural heritage worker, which is 5 points. And again, all you really have to do, it can be as simple as you emailing someone these questions, and then you have them answer the questions, and then you upload it as a Q&A within the discussion area. But again, the reason why we have this mini interview with a cultural heritage worker assignment is so that this is for vocational guidance. If you decide you want to end up in the cultural heritage realm, hopefully this will help you determine what some of your options are in working in cultural heritage and what kind of education and other credentials you will need to make that transition. So, okay, good. I didn't go quite at an hour. I am damn close though, so I am going to shut it down now. This is Dr. J's Peace and Grace, and I will see you next week. Later.